Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thanks for joining us for Stars of Franchising.
Get ready for a roller coaster ride through the world of franchising as we bring you the best stories of inspiration and entrepreneurial grit and turning dreams into franchise realities.
That's right, Vinny. From emerging to global brands, we'll chat with the genius minds behind the magic. All brought to you by the Tariq Farid Franchise Institute at Babson College. I'm Ab.
And I'm Vini. Now, buckle up for some serious inspiration.
We're so honored and excited and grateful to have Lindsey McFadden here from Stretch Zone. Welcome, Lindsey.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
We can't wait to really hear a little bit about your background here at the Tariq Farid Franchise Institute. We get a chance to talk to some really fascinating leaders like yourself in the franchise world in a variety of capacities. And we're really excited to hear from you. And we usually start with asking you what calls you to do what you do and what your why is, and then a little bit about your journey in the franchising, Lindsey.
Sure. So I think that, excuse me, for two things. When we talk about my why, I kind of tie it to my purpose, right? Why do I get up every day to do what I do? And it's Stretch Zone. It's simply said in helping people, right? And that's twofold. At the studio level, we help people feel better, right? Whether they have a mobility issue or they're training for something or recovering from an injury, we help people feel better. And at the corporate side, in the marketing world here, what do is I help first-time entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, small business owners live out their dreams of business ownership, right? So I'm helping them market and run a profitable business. And ultimately, we're helping people feel better with the service that we offer. So when you tie it back to that kind of purpose, it grounds what I do. And even on crazy days, it helps kind of
Right.
set perspective and shift focus.
Interesting. Lindsey, again, thank you for joining us today. Now, for many years, you were on the sideline, in quote, as a consultant, marketing consultant. And then you decided to jump into the trenches to really feel it from close range. What made you make that move? If you can explain a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I loved consulting because in the consulting world, I got to learn a little bit about a lot. But sometimes the impact that you're able to have is limited by scope or the agreement or the engagement or whatever it is. And so by being on the inside or the other side now, I've got full control in a lot of ways, right? From campaigns to ideation to staffing versus having, kind of a set of cards that you're dealt. Now I've got more control over those cards and can make more of an impact, if that makes sense. So that's kind of why I came to the other side.
That's good. I hope you're enjoying it so far.
Say it again.
Are you enjoying it so far?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been I've been in this seat for about 2.5 years now, and it's been a fun ride.
Super.
Good stuff. Well, for our audience, Lindsey, can you share a little bit about where Stretch Zone is and its growth in terms of units? And then love to ask you, given that and giving it's a relatively new category in health and wellness, maybe some of the brand challenges or approaches you've been taking, given not only where the brand is, but also where the category is, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at 385 open locations across 41 states. We've never had a studio closure, which is something that we're super proud of.
Great.
And that growth has been super accelerated, right? We've opened basically 250 of those over the past 3 years. And so it's been really accelerated growth. And part of that is due to our super simple business model. We can open stores, as quick as, basically 90, 120 days after franchise agreement signing.
Wow.
So we have a really truncated and a really swift and efficient onboarding and opening of our locations. But then once they're open, how do we get people in the doors, right? To your point, educating people. It is a new category. And so how do we educate the consumer around what professional assisted stretching is and why they need it? And so I'll tell you, just in my time working with the brand, that conversation has changed a little bit. When I first started with the brand as a consultant, there was basically nobody else, right? We were the only ones. And the good thing of competition and increased just awareness of the industry and the vertical is that there's less of an educational need than there was 6 years ago. Because now with competitors, people understand stretching is an add-on now for massages. It's in some gyms, right? There's more knowledge around it. And I think especially in a post-COVID world, people have put such an emphasis on wellness and a more robust wellness approach, that it's easier now to educate, but that is still at the core of all of our marketing and messaging is what do we do and the why behind it.
And Lindsey, you talk about education. What has been maybe the greatest challenge when it comes to like bringing people to understand a new way of looking at wellness in this case? So what challenges did you face initially, and how did you over time overcome those challenges?
Yeah, so part of the challenge, like to get into specifics, when people are searching, stretching can help with a lot of different things, right? Whether you're just looking to sleep better through the night, or maybe you have sciatica pain, or maybe you're recovering from an injury, whatever it is. So when we started marketing and trying to educate people, we knew why some of our early adopters were coming to us. So putting together paid search campaigns or strategies around some of those keywords is kind of where we started. But we realized quickly that is not the case. Just because you're suffering from something doesn't mean you necessarily need or want stretching or know where it is. So then what we did is we shifted to a more visual approach. When you see some of our imagery and you see somebody being stretched, you can almost feel some of them. It's like, oof, that feels good. That looks like that feels good. I need that. And so kind of making our messaging, our marketing, and our educational campaigns more visual has been a really big focus and has been very successful in driving that education.
Well, I'm going to piggyback quickly on that, because you said a few minutes ago that you have 285, I believe, 385, almost 400 units in 41 states. What's the problem with the other 9 states?
Any franchise owners out there in the Dakotas, Montana, New Hampshire, Maine, give us a call.
Okay, thank you.
Well, one of the things, Lindsey,
Hawaii.
It's fascinating too, and clearly as a franchisor, you're focused on your why in everyday business, right? And a lot of brands don't evolve in terms of their approaches to the consumer, which you clearly have done. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to try and assist and not necessarily coax, but encourage local franchisees who may not, have the belief how important local marketing is? Is that a challenge for you? And how do you help them understand what they need to do in their own communities?
Yeah, I think it's a huge challenge. It might be my biggest challenge.
Okay.
I think getting the franchise owners to understand the true value of the local marketing. There was this conception, especially during COVID, when everybody was home, that, we could just throw some money at meta ads and leads are going to come funneling through the door. Like, that's not really the case, right? And this business was built before meta ads. How we grew is by being a pillar of the community. So for me, it's really about not just telling our franchise owners and regional managers why to do this or what they need to do. It's giving them the tools to do so. So I can say, go be a president in your community, go be a pillar of your community. But what does that mean?
Right.
How do they create these partnerships? How do they take part in events? How do they spearhead these initiatives so that they're meaningful to them?
Wow, that's interesting. And now, Lindsey, here in the United States now, the franchise industry, there is the data that says that maybe 31%, about a third, women-owned, franchisees are women-owned, which is unusual. I can't remember any other industry where that is the case. What do you foresee? First of all, why do you think more and more women hopping into this franchise model, and how do you see this evolving? That maybe our audience, right, those who are women, maybe might want to say, you know what, I want to be part of this game as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So I think our stat, the last one I heard when we pulled these data points a few months ago, is that 43% of our ownership is female.
Wow!
And so we have even more so than the stat you just shared. But I think that especially business ownership, and as the world shifts right to this kind of hybrid model of everybody wanting to do everything, and I think that business ownership for us, it really allows flexibility in lifestyle. Right, our owners, we say all the time, you should not be in your business every single day. You need to be working on your business, not in your business. And I think that flexibility, that autonomy, especially for working parents, is really helpful to be able to balance that lifestyle and that flexibility, pun intended, to do all the things that you want to do. I think that as our network grows, it seems like that percentage of female ownership just also continues to grow, and even down to our our membership is almost an equal 50-50 male-female split.
Oh, wow. And what do you think it would take to have that type of maybe encouraging numbers at the level of franchisors? We're talking about franchisees now, but if you look at the franchisor level, Ab is not, it's still a male-dominated world.
Yeah, it's very male dominated. Listen, I'll speak from I'm oftentimes the only female in the room, so I'm sensitive to that, and I see it often. But I think that I do see that changing, right? Even being at IFA, we were at the franchise conference just a few weeks ago, seeing so many strong, really smart female leaders on panels, leading boards, on stage. It's inspiring, and I think that that pendulum is definitely starting to swing.
Super.
So I'll piggyback a little bit on that, and I saw the same thing, and I share your excitement with it. What advice would you give rising female leaders in the franchising industry and beyond on how to take advantage of networks, or even survive and thrive in that environment? What's worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think having great mentors and people along the way that have shared tips, tricks, hacks, success, little things has been really instrumental. And I try to, pass that mentorship and that on to other people, to even people on my team that are, maybe this is their first or second job out of college, but it's really passing on the nuggets that you've learned and share in a meaningful way. Because to me, there's room for all of us. The more people that can get a seat at the table to learn firsthand and see and experience and be part of conversations, like that's where change happens, right? And so I think, to the extent possible, trying to make that opportunity available to those around you is really important.
Well, I saw it, Vinny, firsthand in action as we had two of our amazing female grad students out at IFA, and thank you for meeting them and sharing that type of advice is really, really important. And I think I've found the franchise community to be very, very collaborative, and people learn from each other. So that leads me to my next question with respect to franchisee relationships. What are the best franchisors do? You've seen a lot of different ones. As our audience is either evaluating becoming a franchisee or maybe even joining a franchisor, what do the best franchisors do from your perspective, Lindsey, to create successful environments and cultures?
I mean, I think having a really open dialogue is key and is paramount. At Stretch Zone, we have a monthly system-wide call. And of course, we have an agenda. We go through some updates and news and things that are coming, but then it's open forum for conversation. And as people have joined the brand over the years, they're like, I cannot believe you have a monthly call where you don't put everybody on mute. You let everybody just speak up and say things and talk. And we really foster, I think, at Stretch Zone, open conversation and listening to what franchisees are saying, because they're the boots on the ground, right? Yeah. They're hearing it day in and day out. And we really use that as feedback and guidance for what we're doing here. So I think fostering really open communication and having the hard conversations. For us, we don't shy away from anything, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think that's true pillar of our culture. That's really important. And so I think also understanding that our goals are aligned, right? When the franchisees are successful, we're successful. Yeah. We're not in the business of just selling stores that we're never going to open or trying to hit some artificial sales number, right? Like, we're really focused on our franchisee success and growing our network in a responsible way that protects the brand also in the community.
Wow. And Lindsey, if you take the monthly forum, if you take a look back at what you all have achieved in the last few years, from those monthly forum, are there situations, are there instances where something coming from the franchisees, you were able to use it to maybe adapt your marketing strategy? Because, well, even though we're in the United States, different regions of the United States have some local idiosyncrasies. Have you been able to leverage that based on what you're hearing or getting from your franchisees?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that part of that is, how we manage a national brand that's very local too, right? A lot of people don't know that Stretch Zone is a national franchise. They're just used to the one in their community, wherever it is. So from my side, it's when we hear things from our franchisees from the system, hey, this would be a great promotion, or we did this and it worked really well. It's incorporating that and then making it available at scale.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of tools and systems, I think, and efficiencies in place that we're able to kind of roll that out in a meaningful way quickly, so that our network can benefit from it. And we do it all the time. Somebody had an idea for a campaign that they did in one specific city. I was like, that's phenomenal. I'm going to, take off your information. We're going to repurpose this and make it available to the whole, because everybody can benefit from it. And then we all win.
Wow.
I love it. The shared goals, a lot of misconceptions, as you know, Lindsey, better than Vinny and I do, is this tension and this, disparate goals. But it's clear that you and your team realize that the success of the franchisee is utmost importance. So as you look back a little bit at some of the challenges, what unexpected challenges and came up as you're dealing with not only marketing but managing a rapidly growing brand like you have?
Was something called COVID happened?
Oh, that's right. I mean, not being able to be open
in
within
our
6 feet,
where we touch people very closely. That's literally all we do. No, I think that there's been a few challenges along the way. I think there's been a shifting consumer sentiment, right? So now I think that what we do is far more acceptable, and people are more open to it. So how are we adapting our messaging and our model to that? That's first and foremost. I think our actual model, our business model, right? We're on a month-to-month membership basis.
Okay.
That's it, plain and simple. That's what the consumer wants these days, right? That's not how the business started. But I don't know about you, I haven't signed any long-term contracts for anything.
Yeah.
I have everything, Netflix, Amazon, like all these things are month to month, and that's what you do. And so I think part of it is really meeting the consumer where they are, and knowing that just how our business started when we started franchising in 2017 is not how it should be today, right? We got to continually evolve to meet the demands of the consumer.
Well, Lindsey, now these days, a lot of people are talking about generative AI, smart technologies. So in your space, how are you and your team living this new era, and then how are you incorporating it in your day-to-day?
I love whenever people ask me how we're leveraging AI in our business. This is like my favorite question. It's amazing. So if you think about what we do, and for those that don't know, Stretch Zone, we are essentially like a personal training model, in that all we do is what we call professional practitioner assisted stretching. That is a one-on-one service. You come into a studio for a 30-minute session, and it's one-on-one, hands-on. And what makes us different is that we have this patented strapping system that enables our practitioners to position, stabilize, and isolate a muscle or a leg or whatever have you, while they then focus. They have an extra set of hands to focus on the other leg in just this one example. So when you think about that, one thing I didn't say was AI. It's just people, right? So at the studio level, there really isn't a significant place for AI as it pertains to our day-to-day operations at the business level, at the studios. On the corporate side, my team leverages it, for efficiencies with automation, with reporting, with really data crunching, creating some meaningful things that we can quickly turn around to the system. My team uses it in our marketing, but as it pertains to our business, I would tell you, it's not really a part of our day-to-day studio operations.
Okay, thank you.
So Lindsey, let's talk a little bit about the future. What's next and ahead for Stretch Zone and you, and some of the challenges heading into the bulk of 2025 and beyond that you can share with us that you're excited about, and challenges you're facing?
Yeah, so a few exciting things. Let's start with the positive first.
Let's do that.
A few exciting things is we just rolled out system-wide access. So now our members can use their sessions at any location nationwide. So that is, a real significant member benefit. So whether you're, we're in South Florida here, so we have a lot of snowbirds, right? So that you don't have to have a membership in New Jersey that you then cancel to have a membership in Florida. So that'll be significant for our network and really for the member experience, right? Mm-hmm. Now it doesn't matter where I joined. I can be a Stretch Zone member nationwide. If I'm traveling for work, I'm on a cross-country flight, and I feel really stiff, I'm going to go to my California studio and get stretched, So That's new and exciting. We're launching a custom app here in the coming months, which will be also really an enhanced member experience. So looking forward to that. And on the business side, international is on the horizon. Right now, as I mentioned, we're currently domestic only, but excited for some international expansion.
Great.
And all those new fun things always come with their own host of challenges.
I'm sure. Well, I just while you mention it, I love the idea of the universal use. Can you talk a little bit about how you approach pricing for that and making a change to the business model and then navigating that with the franchisees? Was that easy? Was it something that you tested with a few of your franchisees in certain markets? Tell us about that, Lindsey.
Yep. So we started out testing it small within like singular ownership groups. And then we have a franchise advisory council that we lean on heavily for testing all of these things, geographically diverse, that own anywhere from, a handful to 25 studios each and kind of everywhere in between. So we did a lot of testing. And part of what I mentioned last year is we had to, quote, when I say clean up, that has a negative connotation, but we had to kind of streamline and clean up some back end data and reporting functionality to be able to do things like this, right? So at the end of the day, it should not be, the member should experience no difference. They should not know. And how do we just make sure that that is a seamless experience? I say all the time, it's really hard to make things really simple.
Right.
But when your guided principle is trying to make things really simple and putting the member first, we always get there.
Good stuff.
Well, Lindsey, you're in the United States now. Is there any thoughts of someday venturing out of the U.S.?
Oh yeah, this year, 2025 should be the year we go abroad. So tight-lipped for now. I'm not telling you where or when, but that is a very active current conversation over here.
And that universal access, I'm guessing, is going to extend as you expand abroad as well.
Sorry, say that question again?
So the universal access, that access that your members, maybe they travel to, I don't know, XY country, when they get there, there's a stretch zone there, they can still use maybe their card in their local country, to be able to get access and do their stretching.
Yeah, we'll see. It depends on where we're going.
Okay. Well, keep us
things get a little bit hairy there because currency conversion and the currency rates not being constant, and how are they getting paid for that? So again, it's really hard to make it simple, but we're working on it.
But Lindsey, I'm going to ask you maybe different, maybe push you to look back. Everything you've done so far, you've been very successful. The way you've done your marketing and everything. Is there something you would do differently if given the opportunity to do it again?
Oh, yeah. The list is long. How much time do we have? I say all the time, had I known then what I know now. I think one of the biggest mistakes, and when I say mistake, that sounds dramatic, but is that as we were growing really quickly and early on, we were very hands off from a control perspective. We gave franchisees a lot of autonomy in all the things, and undoing that has been a challenge. Not in a bad way. Part of it is just growing up and maturing as a brand and as a department. But if we had kept tighter controls, I'll just speak to marketing, for example, around content creation, permissions, access. If we had that more locked down, it's like some traditional franchisors do, that would save a lot of headache that we've had over the years of trying to incorporate everything into our brand, get access to everything, rein in rogue pages or rogue accounts and whatever have you. So I think, that's probably the biggest thing is if I could do it all over again, I would have taken a much harder stance for control and consistency earlier on.
Okay.
That's great. That's that balance, Lindsey, of innovation and following the playbook that you guys have been so great at developing. Well, before we ask for your final thoughts, I'd love to have you share some advice for future potential franchisees, not only in Stretch Zone, but other brands. What advice would you give, and what have you seen from some of the best franchisees out there, Lindsey?
I mean, to me, it's always ask all the questions. I think sometimes on a franchisor or franchisee, just an individual human, sometimes people are scared to ask. ask all the questions. You're not weak for asking. I say all the time, please help me understand, or I'm not sure I understand that, or can you restate that? So I think whether you're looking to buy into a franchise, ask all the questions of the team, of the different people you meet during your validation process or your discovery day. Ask away. It's their job to answer them. And if something doesn't sound right, it probably isn't. I say it all the time, it's got to pass a sniff test. When somebody tries to sell me something or tell me something in this super complicated, complex way, I'm like, pretend I'm in kindergarten. Can my 7-year-old understand this?
Right.
If the answer is no, we should probably readdress this, right? So I think the number one thing is just be curious, always curious, and ask questions.
And Lindsey, before Ab asks you for your final thoughts, in your marketing is primarily targeted at end user, okay, also supporting your franchisees. Part of the marketing, is it targeted at also potential franchisees? In other words, how do you tie that also to your sales effort on the back end, trying to get more franchisees to sign on?
Yep. So good question. A lot of our growth has actually been organic from our current franchisees expanding their portfolios, but also so many of our franchisees that have come into our system started as a member. We had team in-house here the other day, and he said, I'm a member, and I walked in and I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is such a simple business and it helps people. How do I get involved? And I will tell you that the word of mouth advertising has been the number one driver of our franchise sales. Is that prior to last year, we never even spent $1 on advertising franchise sales.
Your customer acquisition cost is that low?
Right.
0?
Right. I knew my marketing and sales pro would ask you that, so I left him that one. But you have to have great operators and great unit economics. So when they do ask those questions, right, Lindsey, it leads to a referral. So kudos to you for that. So we'll wrap up with any final thoughts as you reflect back or just want to share with our audience. We're really grateful for your time today. What do you think?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love the conversation. And I say this openly to anybody that's like looking into a franchise, whether it's to buy a franchise or to join a franchise as a career path. I think it's awesome. It's a really powerful industry that is huge, but also really local and impactful in your community. And there's so much benefits to being involved in the franchising space. And if you've got any questions or want to connect, find me on LinkedIn. Happy to hop on a call or be a listening ear anytime. But I think that, we're stronger together. So being part of this awesome network of franchisees, franchisors that I get to surround myself with every day is fun and empowering. So I welcome anybody to join.
Oh, I love that. And we really appreciate that. And Lindsey, here at Babson, we talk to our students and teach a lot about entrepreneurial leadership, especially on the marketing and the chief marketing officer side, that it's really more than marketing. And you really epitomize and represent, given your knowledge of operation and strategy, that really is a much bigger and broader and all-encompassing role. So kudos to you. We'd love to have you on campus, get in front of some students. And if we here at the Tariq Farid Franchise Institute in Babson can help you on your journey, that would be great. And we're just grateful for your participation today.
And it's possible that I might open the first stretch zone on Babson campus.
Let's go. I've been to a competitor and I want to do the stretch zone, so I can attest to it. But great job and wish you all the best this year and beyond, Lindsey.
Thank you, Lindsey.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Stars of Franchising.
Stars of Franchising was produced at Babson College, engineered by Travis Gray. Karen Soa is our guest coordinator, and music by Ralph Taylor.
If you like Stars of Franchising, be sure to review us wherever you get your podcasts and spread the word and share these stories any way you can.